everyone. I hope you all are in good health and are done with the preparation of your performance management paper. And I also believe and I wish you guys are confident in your preparation. Just as a last minute, a few advices from my side, do's and don'ts for your examination paper. Uh, the first thing which I personally believe is that you should stop learning any new concept. I mean, I've seen students who have completed for let's say 90% of these syllabus, they are left with one or two few things, one or few a minor concept, and then they think, okay, fine. So since we are left with one day, so let's revise the new concept. I personally believe this is not a very good idea because you will in that case you will allot your time to the new concept, and then somehow you will not get time to revise the remaining the remaining part or the part where you were confident. So I personally believe that you should stop learning any new concept and try to focus on something which you know, try to recall its technicality. Don't repeat the mistakes. I hope you have done few examination, few mock papers, few test paper. Try just go through all those test papers. Try to recall what mistakes you have done in your paper, and try to connect it with the paper and not to repeat those mistakes. That's really very important. If you can't recall anything during the paper, I mean, sometimes it happened that that you read a scenario, especially it's for constructive response question. When you read the scenario, sometimes you are unable to recall what to write, unable to read the scenario or understand the scenario. So it happens. But I believe that if you read it once or twice or maybe third time, you will get few things which can be used in your answer. But uh, again, it's a time consuming exercise, so try to keep that question as a last question to attempt, because if you allot so much time, in that time management is again important. If you allot so much time to that question, obviously you are killing your time for the remaining part of the paper, which you probably know but may not be able to attempt because of time problems. So if you are unable to recall any concept in the paper, just try to recall it. If you are unable, just skip that part and move to the next question. Go for contribution approach. That is really very important. Contribution is means do whatever you know and just skip something which you know, which you don't know. I mean, this is basically the case with the MCQ part, maybe probably MCQ part, because MCQs are independent to each other. So if you don't know some MCQ, or if some MCQ is very difficult, just forget about it, just flag it and move ahead. Write appropriately. Now, this is very important, and this is particularly a case with variances and performance measurement, because in performance measurement, the problem is there are scenarios which you know very well, and students sometimes get the idea that what to write, and they get so many things in their mind that they want to express each and everything, and they end up writing 2 to 3 or 4 pages of the answer, and obviously that's irrelevant. So try to write the relevant point. If that scenario is from balance scorecard and you are supposed to comment on balance scorecard for perspective, then and if the answer is of 16 marks, then you have to split that 16 marks into four parts, and then write 4 marks, write something which is equivalent to four parts for that particular scenario. So this is really very important. I believe performance measurement is a honey trap. Honey trap in the sense you are getting so many things in your mind that if you write, it's going to kill your time for the remaining part of the paper. So you will not get more than 16 marks for that part, but ultimately you will lose the other questions. So write appropriately both in variances and performance measurement. These two, you have to be very careful with these two topics, especially. Um, if you see any question which is very difficult, suppose you have done a very good preparation and somehow you have seen a question which is very difficult and you are unable to attempt it, don't panic in that situation, because something which is difficult for you is difficult for everyone, majority of the paper. Because if you see the examiner report, there are few scenarios where examiner says that this is a mistake done by majority part of the student. So majority part of the student means at a global level. So majority students are uncomfortable with that question. That's why they were unable to answer that question properly. So something which is difficult for you is difficult for all. So don't get panicked. Just try to extract something from that. If that is for 10 marks, try to extract something from that. If you are if you get a question of market share variance or market size variance, and if you are unable to calculate that, at least try to do some working in that. Some working in the sense, you can calculate the market share, you can calculate revised market share, current market share, or contribution, because examiner allot marks for each and individual working. So at least you will get few marks for that. So don't completely leave any question if it is difficult. So don't leave it completely. That's very important point. The next point which a student usually ignore, obviously there's anxiety is there, there is a pressure of paper. So usually a student can't sleep before the exam, which I believe is not a good thing. At least you should have a sound sleep of let's say 6 to 8 hours. At least you should have a sleep. Don't keep yourself awake for the whole night, because it's going to hamper the performance of you in during the paper. Be confident whatever you are doing. Don't lose your confidence whatever comes in the question, because in past there are scenarios where examiner used to give first question very difficult, and the first question, if the first question is difficult, obviously your confidence get low, and then second question and third question you cannot perform that well. So that is not probably the case in this scenario, because your examination is split between MCQs and MTQs and constructive response questions. So that is not the case in this situation. But again, don't get panic. Don't panic in any situation. If you don't know anything, try to extract something. Uh, Somehow, there are so many times I've seen rereading will create something in your mind. You can collect something if you reread that scenario. Try to understand what examiner is asking and try to answer accordingly. MCQs, you guys are champion in MCQs because you have done in F2 and F1 and F2 and F3. So MCQs is not a big deal. MTQs can be, constructive response questions can be, but since MTQs are independent of each other, so you can attempt it like an MCQ. It's not a big deal. Only problem is the constructive response questions. So I hope you guys have done enough practice of attempting things on Excel and Word and everything. And if you haven't attempted that CB part, try to at least do it once, because there's still one day. So you can go to ACCA website and try to have an idea about that. Try to explore the options if you haven't done yet. So this is basically the last minute tips for ACCA performance management paper. Best of luck to all of you. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.